Mic check.
Mic check.
All right. Mic check.
Mic check.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in online. I'm so tired, guys. Something like about the phone. I'm so tired. Just leaving work, but again, thank you for joining us. But I'm so proud tonight because I had my special guest that I have not had on here in a while. That's ready to bring the fire, and it's my brother Boom. So I'm gonna bring him in, or bring him first, and then we just gonna take it from there. Mic check.
Mic check.
We all we got.
We all we need.
We all we got.
We all we need.
All right. First, I'd like to thank Tawanda again. I'd like to thank Tawanda again because it take a lot for the work that she do. But as we all know, she don't do the work just for herself. She does the work so that others can be aware. And she's been doing this work for a while. And when we say a while, it's not a while like when you left first grade to go to fifth grade. That's just 5 years. It's not a while and then you hit seventh grade because that's just, 7 years. She's been doing this, and then it becomes a time that we will say, what's the manifestation from that? And that will go to the citizens, that will go to myself, that will go to everybody who has a zip code in Baltimore, you would say to yourself, if that's her, then it would be me today. So proper preparation prevents poor performance. So you already know if you go to the coroner's office, you're not going to get anywhere because Tawanda showed you that. You already know you're not going to get anywhere when you go to City Hall. You already know you're going to be caught in politics. So then what do you do? It's no way that you're supposed to be aggravated because there is an avenue for you. It's called the Baltimore Frontline. It's been here for a very long time, taking on police brutality, homelessness, school, economics of Baltimore City. But what I have found, and I'm very mindful of how our city is ran. Yes, we do have a lot of mothers who got to work 2 and 3 jobs and they're not able to be home. But what I do say is that we got men and women on our streets, in our communities, that we used to use this name and we used to say something called Pookie. I'm going to remind you of the little joke everybody used to make in the comedy, in your little sayings when you was at the table, when you used to say Pookie and Tay Tay. That was a joke to you. Now Pookie and Tay Tay is older. They have had kids. Pookie never had a dad. So now we got 2 generations of Pookie and Pookettes. Nobody there to save them, but we're crying on our hands about Pookie and Tay Tay when we, all of us, use that as a joke in some of our terms of endearment, of expressing ourselves, when that was a real ill in our community. Pookie and Tay Tay. If you don't have a Pookie and Tay Tay, if you are a man next to you, so that that young man know what a man looks like, then you have failed Baltimore City. You have failed what the word manhood looks like in a time of war. We are at a time of war where we don't even have godfathers. Snap on that, because there ain't no godfathers. They sleep. They dead. So that's why if a father needed some help, you can take him to the godfather. Or you can take him to the godmother. If you're not a godmother, you might need to look in the mirror because nobody wants to choose you to be a godmother to something that they love so dearly, which is their child. Vice versa for the godfather. See, these are the little blues we need in our community, that we have threw all those things by the wayside. And what do we say? I'm not going to raise my child like I was raised. Well, where has that gotten you? I'm not going to take some of the templates of having a baby in the house before the streets light come on because I wanted to be out late. Where did that get you? Teenage pregnancy. You stayed out past the street lights, I guarantee you got a record, you had a baby early, or you're high on drugs because you wanted to stay out when everybody else was in the house, when the street lights came on. That was a choice. That's called a choice. Now I'm talking to you, young hitter. I'm talking to you, young guy, that think the excuse is the rites of passage to the graveyard, to Forest Street, Baltimore City Jail, it used to be, and some other places, to a road, like they said, Barbara Mikulski, a highway to nowhere. We got to realize that a lot of people are getting a lot of money off the backs of a 70% all African American city that's wearing an 100% of Jim Crow. Explain that to me. That's called all black ain't black, all white ain't white. And we going to get to the bottom of this if it takes all night. It's called economics. It's called poor. Also, passing over opportunities repeatedly. How many times you walked out of a job that you needed? What you want, you don't need. What you need, you don't want. If you don't have a job now and you walked out 6 months ago, you probably won't have another one for another year. It's called sin. Again, self-inflicted nonsense so you can learn. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing in Baltimore. This is a fire at will city. So 95% of the men are only working on crumbs. He's wondering if he's going to get fired today or tomorrow. So anybody that's 30 and under, he is going to find a way to survive. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you're working 2 jobs, ma, and if the father's working 2 jobs, who's raising the child? So again, a lot of the ills that we have, again, we ran the movement 300 Gangsters. I closed the book on that. It was called Gathering All Nations, Gaining Salvation Through Advancing Society. I realized that Baltimore did not want that. So I closed the books on that, and I allowed y'all to have what y'all presently have, because the people, the power goes to the people. So if 300 Gangsters was not something that the people wanted, so we closed the book. So what we are saying here today, again, you can come to Streets to the Seats on August 13th, and you can bring your new opinions, and you can bring your new grace to the new Baltimore that, again, anything that I was involved in, I closed the books on it. It's new books. So you don't repeatedly do the same thing and expect a different result. You got the winner, you're going to close your books. So we don't want to work with the old playbook. And again, the old playbook is to think that you're going to get on your prayer knees without no votes, because playing for keeps calls for action. Salute, but again, I only salute generals, and procrastination is cowardice. Streets to the Seas will be August 13th, and it will be on Pennsylvania Avenue. Right up the street from what? The Strange Fruit? What? Excuse me, Billie Holiday's statue. You need to look at some strange fruit, because if you think you anything but strange fruit, you in the wrong city. Wake up. This is called Baltimore Baghdad, as your city is called when I leave outside of here and go to Seattle, Detroit, and Oakland, California, with the profiteering that your nasty administration has done. Your city is the laughing stock of the shit pile, excuse my French, of any ears. So again, citizens right now, y'all got the power, because up top don't know what's going on. They scared of the youth. They scared of y'all. They know, guess what? The best thing ever happened was y'all getting YouTube and Google, because y'all got more truth out of that than y'all ever got out of a school. Y'all been woke up more with Google and YouTube than you ever did out of the administration of Baltimore City, just with me being on it. Me being on it. You know me from YouTube. You know of me. You don't know me. It's a difference. You know me from Jamal Bryan. You know of me. You don't know me. You know of me. Google Davon never done, and you might stay away from me because the truth is too blinding. You're too blind. Salute.
And thank you, my brother, for always putting in boots to the ground and just always doing this thing, being real. No matter what city I go to, no matter where I'm at, Boom always checks on me. It's just like night and day. It comes together. He always makes sure that I'm okay. And even if he's not in that particular city, he has people that he know that will reach out to me in that city. So mad love to my brother Boone. And I'm so shocked that I didn't know 300 Gangsters was the books was closed. I'm like shocked. I'm like shocked.
Well, this is more like, again, just like administrations come in. That 300 Gangsters came in 2015. It's 2023. Come on now. It's like an administration, like 4 years. Come on, come on. That's some of the things you might look at. Some of the things that have been since 2015. You may not want to put your energy in that, because that book needs to be closed. Don't get mad at the organization. Get mad at the people that is building it and letting it grow. I'm not mad at Jamal Brown. I'm mad at the people that engrossed them to make me have to chip them.
I hear that. I hear that. Thank you, my brother, for explaining that. And just thank you for everything and all that you do. So definitely mad love over here. But as we dive into West Wednesday, as you guys know, this is West Wednesday. It's been 522 weeks, 3,000 days. That's a very long time to be fighting for anything. And I don't know if you guys just heard the recent news. And I hope and pray to God it's not the Doug and Pony show because I'm used to hearing news and I get all excited and it's just news. It just breezes past. But this one I'm gonna make it so I'm definitely happy that Ivan Bates pretty much said that my brother's case should be investigated after we sat down and spoke to him and let him know like and handed over all the new evidence. So I'm praying this gets somewhere. It's definitely going to get somewhere because I'm not going to let up. You know, even though they start this new thing at the AG's office about October the 1st, you know, with the cases they're going, no, we're going to go back to when my brother was murdered. And today is a real emotional day for me because this day, 10 years ago, was the actual day that my brother was burned. The actual day that we had my brother's funeral was this day. Like literally on this day. And the reason why it took so long, even though he was murdered on July the 18th, and it took us all the way to the 26th, was because they hid my brother's body. They would not. We paid for his funeral and everything. But the medical examiner's office, David Fowler, and his goonies decided to hide my brother, you know, not let us get him, even though we paid the funeral to go pick him up. They're calling me saying, oh, Miss Jones, we can't pick him up. They won't release his body. And we're like, what? So we've been through this stuff, like I said, for 10 years. You know, I'm beyond tired, but I'm never going to stop fighting. I'm never, because what they did to my brother, one unarmed man, you had 17 animals literally kicking, stomping, hitting with batons, beating one unarmed man to death for no reason. And the fact that Ruiz and Chapman and half of them that were on my brother are repeat violent offenders. But the reason why I always call and highlight Ruiz and Chapman because they were the first two in an unmarked car to pull my brother over for no reason other than driving black while in America. You can't drive your sister's Mercedes Benz unless you're a drug dealer. They had no idea who Tyrone West was. He was a father, a hardworking man. He loved his kids, his family, everybody. They took that from my family. And that's disgusting. But guess what? If they see now, if they don't know, I guarantee you they will know. Because see what they thought we was going to do, and most people do it because it gets overwhelming. You get tired of the Doug and Pony show. But they thought we was going to give up. They thought every answer that they gave us, they didn't really give us no answers. But the foolishness that they gave us, that we was going to accept that as the Bible and keep it moving. No, not with my brother. I am my brother's keeper. Like you took something from me. You took my big brother from me. You took the first grandchild in my family. He was like a father to me. He would have been 54 years old. And you murdered him when he was 44? That is disgusting. So for each year that you took my family through that nightmare, I'm going to make sure y'all get years when y'all do get your jail time. I'm going to make sure y'all get years. I'm definitely going to make sure y'all get years. And the saddest part, this is a dirty system. I want to talk about this system today. It is dirty. And I don't know if y'all catching up or watching the news about the squeegee baby that was downtown. Literally had a grown man. And let me tell you the facts that I just learned. The facts that I just learned. I never knew. I thought that the poor baby asked to wash his car. That poor baby was Tavon was not nowhere near this racist maniac. This racist maniac. He was on the other side. Let's be crystal clear. He was like 6 lanes over. He wasn't nowhere. So you get out the car with a baseball bat for what? That's my whole point. He didn't come near your car. They wasn't near your car. In my mind, Tavon is a hero because that grown man would have killed one of them, if not all of them. Because when you have the media portraying squeegee kids as goons, thugs, as bad people, as soon as a racist come in town, they come and attack. Just like they'll have us as bad people just for protesting, exercising our rights to speak. Because our loved one was murdered. So they can have a goon. What if somebody just jump out now and come down here with a baseball bat? Are you kidding me? We ain't bothering nobody. But they can actually bring hate to us. So I'm just praying to God that the George get it right. I mean, any life lost is is a tragedy to me, and I feel sorry for the family. But at the end of the day, I'm praying that the Jews get it right and let this baby be free. This is a hero. So if you think about the man that was attacking somebody's mother in a store, the same way y'all said that that was justifiable, and he shot the protected his mom, give that same grace, give that same mercy to Tavon and his family. They need it. And that's all I gotta say about that. But that is disgusting. I had no idea this baby wasn't nowhere asking about washing his car. Nothing. You literally just parked your car to start with a big 300 and something pound with a 14-year-old. Let's be clear, he was 14. It was the day before his birthday. You talking about a baby, a mind right there. You talk about the duty to retreat. That is retreating when you run, you see a man charging at y'all, some babies. So I pray to God that they get it right, because if that's not self defense, I don't know what is. I have no idea what is. But again, they have so many laws that are not right, that's unfair. You got all these racist judges, and the fact that we have the judge that's over the case now that kept cutting Jay Wendell Gordon off when he made violent points about racism. They don't want to address racism. It feeds this capitalist system. It feeds it. That's what it does. It's all about the money, and that's sad and disgusting. But we need to change that narrative, because our lives matter. It may not matter to the ones that are murdering us, but it matters to the families that you leave behind. There's so much going on right now. I can't even keep up with it. All the unsolved homicides, the lack of the way they treat and protect us. And I'm going to keep talking about what happened in Brooklyn. 30 people were shot, gunned down, and you had 9 law enforcement officer in sight. They didn't give a damn. Let's be clear, but they all down Fells Point. They all in Federal Hill at the end of Harbor, watching over property. But the hell with the poor families in the hood. They don't give a damn about the hood. They worried about uptown. What about downtown? What about down in the hood? They don't give a damn about that. And they rather blame Safe Streets. They rather blame everybody but the people that can actually stop it. They come watch us at West Lansing. Just like the grandmother said, if it would have been one patrol car, she think her grandbaby would still be in. That grandbaby wasn't even from that community. You talking about a beautiful queen that's getting ready for college, all type of stuff. Just coming through the community to show love to friends. None of them babies deserve. Nobody that was there deserved that night, man. They want to keep pointing. And the crazy part, why they didn't catch nobody yet? Imagine if that happened down Federal Hill. Do you know how many people they would have arrested by now? Do you know? Why is it all these unsolved murders in our city? Why is our babies constantly getting murdered? Constantly. Constantly. You got to look at all that. With all this racist stuff. And then for us to know that the guy that got murdered was pretty much a racist. He had hatred wrote across his neck, tatted across his neck. He was proud to be a racist. And that's sad and disgusting. And in my opinion, all these homicides and murders, this is not West Wansey. This is Tawanda Jones speaking from my heart. I feel as though all this stuff is connected to racism. We got a lot of racist people that are coming in and out of our city, killing people, because what they know is going to happen for sure is we're going to blame each other. We need to stop killing each other. Ain't no damn body been caught. You ain't catch nobody. You don't even have a subject to even look at on TV like we're looking for a black tall man with a beard. Nothing. You don't have none of that. But the first thing we say, we need to stop killing each other. Show me proof that we're killing each other. Then we can have a round conversation at a table. Until then, I'm going to keep thinking what I'm thinking. They sending these racist people in here that's purging, that's wiping our asses out. Excuse my language. That's me speaking. So I'm going to do a mic check to see if anybody else want to say anything before we move on. Mic check.
Mic check.
Sure, absolutely. No, no. I don't have my legs.
Hello, good afternoon. Well, I'm Tina Thompson. I'm from Baltimore City,
And based on what Tawanda was speaking about to the Tawanda, it's true. It's true. How can you let a whole community have a party and nobody was not there to make sure those babies was safe and sound. But yet, every year this has been going on. This is going on every year for decades, probably since the early '80s, and it's now like Sister Wanda was saying, somebody out there knows what's going on, and it's not helping the colored people in the city. But yet, when this young man was downtown minding his business with his friends, this old man came out the car and swinging back and hit him. Was about to hit him. He protected himself. So I think that was good that what he did. No, I condone. No, no. I don't condone violence, but at the same time, you have to protect yourself because he was like he was scared. He was so scared he had to shoot. He had to shoot to be. He had to shoot him to kill him, so he won't kill him. And that was a test. And where the police at now? Why the police not? Why the police is not up here every day helping everybody else be safe? I mean, where's the police? Nowhere. And just like Tawana was saying, I'm afraid because come to find out that's true. Some KKK is coming in the city to kill us. And then we got a lot of women are being kidnapped again. What's up with that? What's going on with that? And then why is the housing is racism and BG&E, all of it is racism. The whole damn system, the whole damn system is guilty as hell. The whole entire system is guilty. And we gotta watch the distractions that's going on. Because everybody's focusing on the girl Carly that had mental health issues or whatever her game schemes and scams was. But everybody focusing on that when it's real black women are being missing every single day, every single hour. Not just the black men are being missing. Black men, women, children, all that. We need to stay focused and stop watching what the television tell us, man. Mic check.
Mic check.
This message right here is for the activists. A lot of guys, a lot of people that have been on the line maybe the last 5 to 10 years. This personally has happened to me since I've been back in y'all state. I be going in and out getting type of intel because you can see and make a better option when you look from the outside in sometime. You can also see where your mistakes at. But what I'm about to say is it's a lot of organizations right now that is being funneled by the opposition. But they're going to come to you because you're an activist. They're going to offer you a president's job. They're going to have $100,000 check waiting for you to sign it. If it happened to me already yesterday, why not them come at you today? Now, if I catch you over there, I'm going to deal with you because I just want you. So you telling me you picked your side. So I'm letting you know, hearing the words that's coming from my mouth because it just already happened to me. And I told them, like I always say, who loans you, owns you, keep that. Again, we have already seen a lot of our oppositions and a lot of our people, and a lot of people thinking they're doing the right thing. Ask Tawanda, ask myself, ask a lot of us who have been out here, who know the other organizations that are not for the people, and they're going to try to make you the face to their agenda. Watch out for the serpentinas and serpents of, again, this administration and your next door neighbor, because everybody for their self. Salute.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I just want to add a little something about the trial of the young man, the squeegee worker. I was at the last day of the trial when they had the closing arguments by both sides, and that's where, as Tawana pointed out, I heard that there was no interaction between the racist with the bat and any of the squeegee young workers, and he came there apparently with the idea in mind that he was going to use that bat and attack people regardless of any personal situation. It was a mindset. But at the trial, before the jury came in, you know how they have a whole discussion about what's the judge going to say to the jury to give them directions. And there was some debate. about what it would take to be considered acting in self-defense for yourself or others. And so they picked out a definition of retreat. And the judge, when the jury came in, was reading these directions to the jury, and she's going rapid fire, running through all these words in a monotone. She gets to the thing about retreat. She slows down. She puts emphasis in, and she says all the words loudly and clearly about if you don't retreat, you can't qualify to be considered acting in self-defense. But I did a little homework last night. I got home and I said, I want to learn a little more about this. So I looked up Maryland case law, and it turns out that in order to get the self-defense stature, they say you have to retreat unless the situation is too dangerous to retreat. So picture the situation down there. You have the squeegee young men under attack by this man who's more than twice their weight with this bat, hell-bent on hurting them. And if they were to turn around, to walk away, to retreat, and had their backs to this guy, that would definitely be a dangerous situation. Now my memory is not so great, but I don't think when that judge gave the directions to the jury that she said anything about that exception. She emphasized you got to retreat, but I don't believe she said a word about if it's a dangerous situation to retreat. You're not obligated to retreat to qualify for that stipulation legally, self-defense. So we think in the United States that the courts are neutral, that the police are neutral, that the government's neutral, and it's all unbiased. But the fact of the matter is, the majority of laws in the United States deal with property relations, and about 0.5% of the people own the vast majority of property, not just land, but businesses, machinery, anything that can produce a profit. So the legal system is really their legal system. It is 100% biased, and we saw that in this trial, and I'm hoping that this young man does well, but he's up against a whole lot, so we have to hope real hard. Mic check.
And I just want to add too, let's say for instance, if Mr. Reynolds was a black African American man with a bag, and he went down Roland Park, and it was some white squeegee kids down there, and he ran down, it would have been an open and shut case. You better believe that. She would have took her time. They probably wouldn't even arrested the little boy. They would have made him a hero. Oh, we have this big black gangster jump out on these babies. And, yeah. So we need to, race plays a part in everything. Everything.
How about Shine Rim about 12 years
Everything.
ago?
You want to talk to us about
How
that?
about Shine Rim about 12 years ago when they had beat that little boy for walking through the neighborhood?
Shine Rim is about 12 years ago when a little black boy was walking through the neighborhood up in Ricestown, off of Ricestown Road, in the Jewish community. And Shine Rim is a Israeli tactical team that doubles as a security unit in that community. They train in America and go back to Israel. This is facts. And they didn't get no time for that. They negotiated that. And then they gave them some, the mayor gave them a squad car. That's in Itzy's district. Remember Shine Rim, don't forget that.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check. Yeah, definitely look. I'm definitely gonna look it up, and that's ridiculous. But again, I'm gonna open the mic to see if anybody else want to say something. Mic check.
You already know I'm gonna talk about Worley, but first they nominated a new fire chief today, and the acting fire chief was a black man, and he was in there after the original fire chief, who was a black man, retired. Brandon Scott nominated a white man for fire chief. He nominated a white man for police chief. What's up, Brandon?
Plantation politics.
We are a 70% black city. Why do we have white leaders in these organizations?
So you got a white man losing.
Why? All right, so they're having these supposed community meetings where people can get to know Worley. Okay, so his confirmation hearing is on August 15th. There's one or two virtual meetings and one in-person meeting before August 15th. The one is on August 14th. The rest of them are after his confirmation hearing. So I'm going to tell you about Worley, and I'm going to read you the letter that I wrote to Mayor Scott. Dear Mayor Scott, I'm writing you today with some concerns about your pick to be the new BPT commissioner and the ongoing lack of transparency in the process. As you well know, there is usually a vetting process as well as public input hearings, which you are quite familiar with being a former city council president and councilperson. How would you have liked back then to be served with the lack of transparency that's occurring under your leadership right now? I'm a resident of the Northeast District, where Richard Worley was the major in command from December 2012 through November 2016. During Worley's tenure at the helm of NED, the following publicly known cases occurred during his watch. 1. He took over while Ned was embroiled in a lawsuit by Ashley Overbay, who was assaulted by officers Fred Hanna and Martin Richardson, who were responding to a burglary at her apartment in 2012. In June 2013, officers Nicholas David Chapman, Doreen Harris, Brian Loiero, Marcus Smothers, and Nathan Ulmer from the Northeast District were credibly accused of assaulting brothers Leo Joseph and James Green during an illegal traffic stop. In early July 2013, officers Nicholas David Chapman, isn't that name familiar? Jorge Bernardez Ruiz, Brian Loiero, again, and Nathan Ulmer, again, were credibly accused in an illegal traffic stop and subsequent brutal assault on Abdul Salam. On July 17th, 2013, officers Nicholas David Chapman and Jorge Bernardez Ruiz participated in a legal stop and subsequent harassment of Darrell Harris. On July 18th, 2013, officers Nicholas David Chapman and Jorge Bernardez Ruiz illegally pulled over Tyrone West within the Northeast District and began a brutal assault that resulted in Tyrone's death. Additional officers involved from the NED in this case were Derek Beasley, Matthew Siofi, Alex Hishigan, Eric Hinton, Latrice Lee, Danielle Lewis, Doreen Harris, Corey Jennings, Reggie Parker, and at least 3 other BPD and 3 Morgan State officers, David Lewis, Anthony Cyrus, and Melvin Cross. You will see a pattern with these names as some repeat violent offenders. On September 10, 2015, my family was subjected to a home invasion performed by BPD under the guise of a search and seizure warrant, which turned out to be bogus. Officers involved in my case were Reggie Parker, Jesus Avidia, Jorge Bernardez Ruiz, Corey Jennings, Christopher Ickenrode, Elvin Cruz, John West, Anthony Queen, Brendan Brown, and 3 others I have not been able to obtain information on. 3 to 4 of these individuals held my then 12-year-old son at gunpoint in my basement. The details of this are widely publicized since there was a lawsuit, and I've spoken both at City Council and Annapolis on it. In February 2016, Mr. Thomas McCullough had his home raided twice by Jorge Bernardez Ruiz, claiming to be a GTTF member, and Danielle Waskowitz. Substantial damage was done to his premises where 3 elderly people lived, and he subsequently moved. Also in early 2016, Jorge Bernardez Ruiz was involved in a now infamous, widely circulated video recorded incident where he is kneeling on an unidentified male, pointing a gun towards his head, telling citizens gathering around, "I suggest you back the fuck up." After this incident, Bernardez Ruiz was made sergeant. I guess that was his reward for being consistent in his brutality tactics. These are just 8 cases out of many that occurred during Worley's tenure at Northeast District. Under his watch, citizens were subjected to various forms of brutality, misconduct of officers, and even murder. There are no raids on people's homes without commander approval. There are no instances where there are several rogue officers roaming the streets terrorizing citizens and the commander of the district not know about it. In fact, before my incident, I contacted him regarding the stuff that was going on in my neighborhood. only to be met with silence. I have a paper trail to prove what I'm saying about him. Worley repeatedly turned a deaf ear and blind eye to officers who were clearly out of control enough to murder Tyrone West and brutalize citizens in the Northeast District. Richard Worley's been with BPD for 25 years, all of which have been rife with corruption, all the way up the chain of command through headquarters. So much we're still under consent decree. Police are still brutalizing and murdering people in the streets. He has been at the helm while these plainclothes units have been dreamt up, implemented to further terrorize citizens with jump out boys, stop and frisk, and any other number of civil rights violating tactics. Worley does not need to be in command of the entire BPD. In fact, he should have been forced into early retirement alongside Dean Palmier and the other dirty commanders that were overseeing the GTTF and other similar units. Worley has no business leading BPD, period. His personnel file may be quote unquote clean during those years, but it is due to massive cover up efforts to shield commanding officers from complaints. He was named in my lawsuit, but the FOP lawyers ensured his ass was covered. Leobor also assists commanders in dodging blemishes on their records, yet we citizens see what's really going on. No amount of cover-up will shield Worley from the dirt and grime of the dirty officers under his command. He's not fit and should have consideration removed from the position of commissioner. In fact, he should be investigated for misconduct in office while he was the major at NED. I think I made my point very clear. I'm against the appointment of Richard Worley as Commissioner of BPD, requesting you have staff perform a ballot search for Harrison's replacement and ensure anyone else considered is properly vetted. Citizens of Baltimore deserve better than Richard Worley. I will be at any and all attempted confirmation hearings and public input sessions to ensure my voice and story are heard. Mic check.
Yeah. Mic check. Anybody else want to say anything?
Right here, right here, right here.
In 2010, before I met any of y'all, in October 2010, the Northeastern District sent police and state troopers to my house like 3 times in one night. They raided my house with no warrant, none of that. It was because of my activism. Now, I never got a hearing. I never knew the officers that came in my house, but I know they came out the Northeast District. I lived at 1402 Lockyer. All right? I lived at 1402 Lockyer. And they did it 3 times in one night. And Worley, I sat there with Pine, James MacArthur, Leo Zimmerman, and we sat in the Northeastern District town meetings, community meetings. You got a black meeting and you got a white meeting. You got an old Northeast and a new Northeast, and Worley was there. Worley was the one running the, you feel me? When they had the shooting over here, Worley was the commander for the shooting when they killed the homeless man with a knife, and they could have tased him. Shot it right underneath that billboard. You feel me? All right. So remember, Worley is who Worley is, and that's what we got. We got a plantation here, and the police is overseers of the plantation, and they're gonna keep us in line because they're not killing no white people. When they had that shootout with the white man on the bus, or Polanski, then they, you know what they did with Polanski? You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it 100. A knife, you can tase somebody with a knife. In Baltimore County, they sent a message loud and clear. They shot that man with 4 or 5 officers, emptied their guns on this man, and all he had was a knife. They could have had 4 officers hit him with a taser, and he'd have still been alive. But the color of his skin didn't permit that. We got plantation politics, and y'all need to start calling that out. You need to stop letting the media come in the communities and sit here and promote propaganda. If they can't tell the truth, tell them to pack that shit up and go back to their station. If they don't go back to their station, they got to get a pass to come out here in the streets. You got a phone, you got a camera, you got a voice. You are officially a news reporter. Keep it 100. It worked for me. I ain't never told nobody to do nothing I ain't do myself. Right? And you don't see me with a crowd of people when I do it. I just step up in between it. The only thing between you and that reporter is airing opportunity. Make them suck it up. Mic check!
Mic check!
So does anybody want to say anything or add before we move on? All right. So before we go to the sad list, I just want to thank each and every last one of you guys. Give a big shout out to my brother Boom. Give a big shout out to shut them down. Give a big shout out to my sister Dina. They put the mic, and even the sister Tina that just left. So big shout out to them for expressing themselves on the mic. But we're not doing this for entertainment. This is real. This is our life. This is a life that none of us asked for. None of us. I remember when I used to just come to Greenmount, just to go to the nail shop, grab something to eat, do a little shopping, that's it. Keep it moving. I never thought in a billion years that I would be here reliving a nightmare of my brother being brutally murdered and nobody be held accountable. So I'm glad and thankful that Ivan Bates put it out there that my brother's case needs to be investigated, and we're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. It's not going to just be words that sound good. It's no, we're going to make sure that happens.
Say that as
I
well.
guarantee you, we're going to make sure that that happens. So again, I'm thankful, grateful, but we're going to keep this train moving. So before we go to the sad list tonight, and before we take 2 minutes to stand in solidarity with these families, I want to read this. Sorry, it's taking me forever. It is the mission of the West Coalition to work for accountability for Tyrone West and all the victims of police brutality. We believe that there's a connection between police brutality and community violence. Police can use de-escalation strategies to diffuse situations without necessarily using force. And we encourage community members to resolve disputes without violence. We care deeply about the families impacted by police brutality and community violence. We seek to lift the names of their loved ones from a place of respect and care. We obtain lists of names of those who shot and killed by police and those lost of community violence from national and local news outlets. We know that these are by no means exhaustive lists and that gun violence isn't the only way that people are murdered. We do not detail information about we do not obtain detailed information about the circumstances surrounding each one of these deaths or the people who died. By reading these names, we are not condoning violent behaviors on any part or anyone involved in the situation because we don't condone violence. We want to increase the peace, and we do believe in like resolving issues through mediation or however that we can resolve it in a form of fashion of not using violence. So tonight, when I spoke about the young man being scared, definitely not condoning no one going and murdering anyone. But just my heart just goes out, so I'm praying. So let's take 2 minutes, guys, to send prayers. If you're into praying, that's fine. If not, just send positive feedback and thought. Because the list that we're about to read, it could be your family member. We know that these are real people. They're just not a name on a sheet. So please just show your respect, show your love, and please don't judge our hearts. Because again, we don't have all the information. So we just know that we're just trying to represent the best way we know how. And that's just kind of read these lists. So again, let's take 2 minutes starting now. Mic check.
Mike
Mic
check.
check.
Mic check. Thank you again. Brother Brown, are you ready? Mic check.
Mike, check.
Thank you. So I'm going to read this slightly long list because we didn't do this last week. These are the people for the last 2 weeks that we know of that were killed here in Baltimore. And like I would say, each of these people is a whole world. They have mothers and fathers and children and friends and coworkers. And so we just want to lift their names up and use this time to dedicate ourselves to stopping all the violence in our city. And so I'd ask you just to, Mike, check their names back to me. Sherlon Cooper.
Mike, check.
Albertini Elcock.
Albertini Elcock.
Sincere Washington Green.
Sincere Washington Green.
Jonathan Williams.
Jonathan Williams.
Sophia Talley. Shama Wake. Demetric Wallace. Cordy Shaw. And Khalil McCrae. Thank you.
Mic check.
Mike, check.
Okay. So Dina's going to come up and read the sad list tonight for the police brutality. Mic check.
Mike, check.
This covers from July 11th until July 22nd. This is a national list, and they make interesting notations on this list. So I put in a couple of notes, but just remember, when someone has been unidentified, we say cell blocks for killer cops, ashe. On July 11th, in Clinton County, Kentucky, an unidentified person was killed by police. On July 12th, in Houston, Texas, 21-year-old who was killed inside of a house, Jamal Brown. On July 13th, in Tucson, Arizona, an unidentified person was killed inside of a house. In Byesville, Ohio, still on July 13th, 33-year-old Jeremiah Wise. Also on July 13th, in Wetumpka, Alabama, 20-year-old was killed at a gas station, Jabari Cameron Bozeman. On July 14th in Fargo, North Dakota, 37-year-old Muhammad Barakat. On July 15th in Clayton County, Georgia, also killed in his home, 40-year-old Andre Longmore. July 16th in Las Cruces, New Mexico, killed inside of a vehicle, an unidentified person. July 17th in Jasper, Georgia, also killed inside their house, a 56-year-old Norman Edward Dawson. On July 19th in Rockingham County, Virginia, 27-year-old Justin Scott Lance. Also on July 19th in Greene County, Indiana, an unidentified person. Also on the 19th, in Logan, New Mexico, 38-year-old Matthew Dimas. On July 20th, in Los Angeles, California, was supposedly armed with a knife in an apartment. An unidentified person was killed. July 21st, in Fredericksburg, Virginia, 34-year-old Taylor Lee Richard Drew. Also on the 21st, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was killed in an apartment building, 23-year-old D'Antonior Stalling. On July 22nd, in Gresham, Oregon, an unidentified person. Okay, and this last one was here in Maryland, in Aspen Hill, also on July 22nd. This is it's a 19-year-old, Franklin Castro Ordonez. Okay, this was the case that was here, Montgomery County. He had a knife, and he kind of went from a thrift store to a yard sale, and he was stabbing people, and they shot him, and he had a knife, which is exactly what we were talking about, like how other means could be used instead of shooting, and I don't see how them protecting other people from being stabbed is any different from what the squeegee worker did. That's just my opinion. But mic check.
Awesome point, sis. Awesome point. So again, I want to thank each and every last one of you. We will see you guys next week. And it's just sad that just listening to the list, it's like you're not safe in your home, you're not safe in the vehicle, you're not safe anywhere. It's just sad. But I just feel like we need to smash and trash this system until we win. We need to smash it. Mike, check. Remember, live to love to live. I love you all. We will see you next week. Mike, check.
Mic check.